Congresswoman Cammack from the House Law Enforcement Caucus. Congresswoman, your reaction to that report. Okay, Laken Riley killed in Georgia, Kayla Hamilton killed in Maryland, all by illegal aliens. This is Biden's border collapse.
Yeah, absolutely, Liz. And it's just absolutely heartbreaking, not just for Rachel's parents and her family and her 5 children, but for all of the families, all of the Angel families around the country who are victims at the hands of illegals who should have never been here in the first place. You know, I spoke to the sheriff of that county, Hartford County, today, and he said that not only are they exceptionally confident in the conviction of this illegal who's in the country illegally, but he pleaded that we need to get that border secure. It was just this time last year that they had a 17-year-old that was murdered at the hands of an illegal in that same county. Every town in America is a border town as a result of Biden's open border crisis. Full stop. We have to get this under control.
Yeah, and other networks are misleading America. When Trump is saying deportation, he's talking about deportation of criminals, of killers crossing. Fox News' Bill Melugin reports there are now more than 7 million illegal aliens ordered to leave the U.S. They've not left yet. They were released into the U.S. interior because immigration courts are so clogged and backed up due to this border collapse. We're hearing reports out of places like Venezuela, the prison population is down in certain parts of that nation.
Absolutely, Liz. And I spoke to Border Patrol agents virtually in every sector for the last couple of weeks. And I myself, I've been to the border 9 times. I've seen the crisis at the border. And of course, in the interior, we're seeing, just like with poor Rachel Morin's family, there is tragedy occurring across the country. But in light of this new executive order that Biden passed to try to, quote unquote, secure the border, it's actually making it worse. Homeland Security not only has decreased the amount of beds for ICE, but they have gotten rid of the infrastructure necessary to actually get these criminals out of the country. We have nowhere to send them. So what do? They them or parole them into the country with no way of knowing where they're going and what they're doing. There's no follow-up.
Yeah.
So Trump has a very, very big job in getting this under control when he assumes office in January.
Okay, watch House Intelligence Chair Congressman Mike Turner warn about a potential terror attack coming in the U.S., possibly, we don't know when, but he's warning about it. Listen to HBO's Bill Maher, and then you're going to hear from Hartford County, Maryland Sheriff Jeffrey Gahler on that illegal alien arrested in Maryland, the murder of the mother of 5 suspect. Watch this.
But what's important about these reports and what we're seeing, especially in conjunction with Director Wray's public statements that we are at the highest level of a possible terrorist threat, that the administration's policies have absolutely, directly related to threats to Americans. That as a result of the administration's policies allowing people to cross the border unvetted, we have terrorists that are actively working with inside the United States that are a threat to Americans.
Voters keep saying over and over again, we are not comfortable with this level of immigration. I understand why. It doesn't make you a racist to say that. It's going to get them at election day.
And I want to now direct these comments to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and to every member in both chambers of Congress. We are 1,800 miles away here in Hartford County. We are 1,800 miles away from the southern border, and the American citizens are not safe because of failed immigration policies.
You hear that? American citizens are not safe anywhere. Okay, let me back up. Why just a generation after 9/11 did Biden decide to collapse the border? Let me show the New York Times, Nick Kristof. He wrote a new column. What have we liberals done to the West Coast? Saying some of the bluest parts of the country, the cities on the West Coast, are a, quote, mess. So collapse the border just a generation out of 9/11, go weak on crime, but collapse the border. Where's the common sense in this?
Well, I guess the jig is up. There is no common sense in that. And what a refreshing moment of truth and honesty in talking about how the progressive movement hasn't really resulted in a whole lot of progress, more so a mess than anything. Like I said, I spoke to Sheriff Gahler today, and he said exactly that. He said, this is a failure of national security. And there's plenty of people pointing blame, but the fact remains is that Biden did this willingly, bragged about undoing Trump's border security policies, and then dismantled Customs and Border Patrol bit by bit. When you have 151 different nationalities coming across the border to the tune of over 11 million people illegally, on top of 2 million gotaways in a span of 3.5 years, there's no way you can consider that secure. Of course, there's going to be crime. Echoing what Chairman Turner said, it's not a question of if, but when there's a terrorist attack.
It's terrible.
We know that there's innocent life lost because of this disastrous policy, and it's all because they wanted power and control, and they wanted more people to show up at the elections. That's why they're trying to strip citizenship requirements at the polls. It's shameful, and that's why we have to elect Donald Trump.
Congresswoman Cammack, thanks for joining us.